This wasn't a rumor spreading behind the scenes. It wasn't an anonymous leak. And it wasn't a headline written by a tabloid. This was Travis Clark himself, posting a stark Instagram story. Black background, white text, a direct admission that he had cheated on his wife, Katie Bates. An affair, repeated breaches of trust, and a public appeal for privacy. Almost immediately, the internet reacted with one shared question. Why make this public, especially now? To understand why this moment landed so heavily, context matters. Travis Clark isn't an unknown private citizen. His public visibility comes directly from his marriage to Katie Bates, a member of the widely recognized Bates family, whose relationships, values, and faith have been shared publicly for years. Their lives have never existed in total privacy, and that visibility carries weight when personal failures are aired publicly. What made the confession even more jarring was its timing. It came immediately after Katie Bates shared heartbreaking news that she had suffered a miscarriage, a moment that, for most people, would call for protection, quiet, and compassion. Instead, that moment was followed by a public acknowledgement of infidelity. For many watching, it didn't feel like honesty. It felt like impact layered on top of grief. In his own words, Travis stated plainly that he was unfaithful. There was no vague phrasing, no euphemisms, no framing it as a struggle or a rough season. He said he had an affair and admitted that he broke Katie's trust repeatedly. He made it clear there was no justification and placed responsibility solely on himself. On the surface, that reads as accountability, and some viewers acknowledged that. But accountability isn't only about what is said. It's also about when it's said and where. Travis ended his message by saying he was seeking help and working to become a more honest and accountable man, regardless of outcome. He asked for privacy and grace for Katie as she processed everything in her own time. That phrase, regardless of outcome, became the emotional fault line of the entire statement. To many readers, it sounded like a marriage already standing on unstable ground. The reaction online was swift and intense, but it centered around one consistent point. People weren't debating whether cheating was wrong. That part was universally agreed upon. What people questioned was why this needed to be shared publicly at all. Comment after comment described the post as humiliating for Katie Bates. Many felt it was self-serving, prioritizing Travis Clark's narrative over his wife's dignity. Others went further, suggesting that while the language sounded accountable, the focus still remained on him. And then came the speculation. Two main theories quickly dominated online discussions. The first was damage control. Some believed Travis went public because the truth was already circulating privately and he wanted to control how it surfaced. By confessing first, he could frame himself as remorseful before anyone else spoke. The second theory was more troubling. Some viewers believe another party, possibly the person involved in the affair, was preparing to come forward, forcing Travis to act quickly. There is no evidence to confirm either scenario, but the timing raised questions everywhere. One thing, however, felt undeniable to many viewers. This post did not shield Katie Bates. If Travis Clark became the center of backlash, Katie became the center of sorrow. Across social platforms, people weren't gossiping. They were mourning for her. A miscarriage followed by public betrayal. Loss compounded by humiliation. Many expressed concern that Katie might not be surrounded by voices encouraging her to prioritize her own well-being. Instead, commenters worried she could be facing pressure to forgive quickly, to reconcile quietly, to endure gracefully. Whether those fears are accurate or not, they reflect a discomfort rooted in patterns people have seen before. This didn't feel like drama. It felt like watching someone fracture under the weight of too much pain at once. Another difficult conversation began to surface, one about culture, faith, and expectations placed on women. Some commenters referenced belief systems where infidelity is subtly reframed as a shared failure. Others discussed environments where public confession is normalized, but private healing is sidelined. In those spaces, forgiveness can stop being a choice and start feeling like an obligation. That's why this confession struck such a nerve. Because when betrayal is announced publicly, the burden on the betrayed spouse multiplies. Every silence becomes analyzed. Every decision is scrutinized. Every step forward or backward turns into public property. For Katie Bates, that pressure now exists whether she wants it or not. As often happens after a shock like this, people began revisiting old videos. Moments that once seemed ordinary suddenly felt uneasy. One clip, in particular, was mentioned repeatedly. A video where Katie shares her pregnancy news, and Travis's reaction appears distant, pale, almost unsettled. At the time, it meant nothing. Now, viewers interpret it differently. Others pointed to subtle changes, emotional distance, shifts in behavior, transitions in routine. None of this is proof. But together, it raised a haunting possibility for many observers, that Katie may have been carrying knowledge long before the public ever did. So where does this go from here? Online discussions suggest three possible paths. The first is quiet separation. Private, understated, and unspoken. That regardless of outcome, line looms large for those who believe this is already unfolding. The second is reconciliation through counseling, likely supported by family and faith. Some fear this path could prioritize appearances over healing. And the third, the outcome many quietly hope for, is Katie stepping away. From social media, from expectations, from being strong for everyone else while hurting herself. Right now, the public isn't demanding explanations. They're asking for space. At its core, this isn't just a story about infidelity. It's a story about timing, power, and who absorbs the fallout when truth becomes public. Travis Clark chose to confess publicly. Katie Bates did not choose to have her pain shared publicly. And that difference is why this story has resonated so deeply. So the question remains, was this accountability or control of the narrative? And should deeply personal betrayals ever be made public? If there are further developments, statements, or responses, we'll continue to follow the story carefully. Because some moments don't call for judgment. They call for compassion.